Today's episode takes me from Potomac, Maryland, up to Carnegie Mellon, and all the way over to London, where we hang out with Shannon and talk about her experience of trying to go to Mars.
And I talked to people at the Glasgow Science Center, and they were super keen to have me, and I ended up putting on a pop-up exhibition, like, in the Science Center.
Really?
Outside the planetarium.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I made these, like, questionnaires for people, like, which place in the solar system would you most most want to live, I guess.
Shannon Case wants to live on Mars. Well, actually, she doesn't want to live on Mars. She wants to go to wherever we go after Mars. And that's what she talks about in her creation event, which really in this case was a book. But she didn't stop there. While she was studying abroad over in Europe, she got a chance opportunity to put on an art exhibit that she designed for children about where we go in space and how we'll thrive there. On this episode, we're going to talk about how she's been able to combine her love of art and her love of space to create her first art exhibit, where she brings the power of the future of space travel to kids in the power of an exhibit that she was able to launch while she was studying abroad in England. Check it out. It was remarkable how much you got up the curve pretty fast.
Yeah, I felt like at the beginning I didn't know. I mean, I knew a lot from science fiction. Like,
right.
I could tell you all about Star Wars, but if you asked me how a rocket works, I'd be like, I don't know. Go ask someone who likes math. I hate math. I don't hate math. Math is important.
Shout out to all the math nerds.
Yeah, I had to do that cheesy, like.
I like it. We'll make sure to incorporate that in a way that's like really shows off your cheesiness there.
Man.
Some kind of like a
zoom
Batman.
in.
Yeah, exactly.
I need a special effects, a spark. Or
We'll do it. It'll be like Harry Potter.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So I felt like I didn't know enough, and then all of a sudden there was like this kind of turning point.
And then you go abroad to Scotland, and you're working on it, and your book comes out. What do you think it's gonna be like to go back to Carnegie Mellon and sort of be able to be like, yeah, so I wrote this book, I'm interested in space, I'm, like, blah, blah, blah. How do you think that's gonna play?
I think most of my friends know that I'm a huge nerd, so they probably won't be surprised. And I do a lot of, like, writing on my own, like, poetry and stuff, which is kind of unrelated to this. But,
it's all creation, right? However it plays.
Yeah, like, I don't think it'll be, like, what? But it'll definitely be interesting to see, where that takes me. I always, when I'm signing up for classes, pick some class that's completely unrelated to my major. So every semester I've taken something like really, I guess apart from being in Glasgow, where I didn't have the option to pick my classes.
Right.
Yeah, like last fall I took a robotics class. Didn't know what I was doing.
Right. I
got an A in the end.
There you go.
That was crazy. But yeah, it was a struggle. We made a robot that shot paintballs. It was really cool. But yeah, so every semester I take a class that's kind of unrelated to what I'm doing. Next semester I'm taking documentary storytelling. I'm excited for that.
Yeah. You may know a thing or two about storytelling now, right?
Yeah. So it's kind of like every time I'm just trying to learn something new. So I think most people will be kind of, oh, Shannon's just doing another thing that's new. Like in my studio, you'll see like welding and then clay and then painting and then photography and then printmaking. Like I'm just kind of always learning a new thing. Writing's just the next one.
Here you are being featured at a planetarium for an art exhibit on where we colonize next.
Yeah, so
sort of bonkers.
Yeah.
From the woman who's like, I think I should go back to horses because I know that. To now having an exhibit at a planetarium, kind of wild.
Best part was the title of the exhibit was Meet the Expert.
Really?
So I was the expert.
Yes, awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Kind of crazy to think though, in a year you went from a curiosity to others, and again, I know that you in your mind are still like, I'm not an expert, there's so much more to learn, but other people deem you to have expertise in this topic.
Yeah, that was pretty.
You're 21 years old and now an expert in colonization of space.
Yeah, according to the Glasgow Science
Hashtag
Center.
humble brag, right? I'll humble brag for you. But I think that's what's interesting about it is, to your point, is when we talked about this at the very beginning, you had a number of different things that were curious to you. You love art.
Yeah.
You love space. You love science fiction. You love kind of like the combination of these things together, right? You're sort of this mashup. You're at Carnegie Mellon studying, which is an engineering school. You're an artist and all these sorts of things. You've worked on Hyperloop. Like, you've done all these things. And it was sort of interesting. I remember why this topic was so compelling was it kind of allowed you to like combine all these things into something.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of neat to see a year later, there you are, like combining these things in a way that is both tapping your artistic side, your science nerdy side, like all these things into that.
Yeah.
Pretty badass, to be honest.